Vanny, bring me everyone.
What do you mean, everyone?
Everyone! I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
Let me explain something to you. I am not Mr. Lebowski. You're Mr. Lebowski. I'm the dude.
No one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle.
You can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Lord, you can imagine where it goes from here.
Hello and welcome to episode 64 of Zedos Gang podcast. On today's episode we'll be talking about Top Gun 2, The Batman, James Bond and much more up here in the Zedos Gang. I'm joined here with Joseph Buchanan, as always. Say hi, Joe.
Hey man, how's it going?
All good. And I'm joined by my ex-Friends Talk Films compadre, Richard Edwards.
How you doing?
That was a mouthful.
What?
Ex-Friends Talks Film compadre. That's almost like a tongue twister.
It's no longer Friends Talk Film.
Yeah, I know, but
it was good times.
Well, happy to be here.
Yeah.
How's it going, man? How you doing?
Good. Excited about some of the films we're going to be talking about. We're going to get out there and see way more of them in 2017.
Why has it taken so long for you to come on this podcast?
Staff, family,
employment. What kind of got in the way. Not a problem temporarily, but other than that, I like the element of surprise. But there've been some movies recently where I just gotta. I got to get some stuff off my chest to discuss.
I'm fascinated to know what that is. What films these are.
Well, two of them we're talking about today.
Fantastic.
Plus with some respects, but yeah.
So we go straight to the trailer review section, and the first trailer we have up is Jumanji. And I'm not going to say much about this. I was not impressed by it. I don't like the whole computer game aspect of it. It's dead to me. You guys?
I'm gonna controversial on my first time ever on the Wonderful Zedos Gang podcast. Respectfully disagree. Dwayne Johnson hasn't made a habit of picking turkeys. He's got a couple of films out there, but so far I think he's done quite well with his selections. I read on some trivia this is a sequel, not a reboot or remake. It is a sequel. Poignant tribute to the late, great Robin Williams. I think this film will be quite good. The chemistry between Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart's worked before. And I think to give it a modern day twist and introduce it to a new audience, I think an arcade game was a good way to go. I think it kind of like says 21st, 22nd century, here's a new approach to this film. But don't forget, the original Jumanji was set in the real world, bringing elements from Jumanji into it. So this new twist, taking it to a jungle, and I think it was filmed in Hawaii, probably...
it's the same place they filmed Jurassic Park.
Yeah, so... but the chemistry works. Karen Gillan looks amazing. She really apparently got into great shape for it. She's kind of holding the mantle of like the most successful ex-Doctor Who partner to kind of go out there and do two Guardians of the Galaxy films and this and some other films as well. And Jack Black is always good. I mean, this is kind of like, he was brilliant. I think he was one of the top three people in Tropic Thunder. So it's be interesting to see him back in another jungle environment acting again. So yeah, I think this is one I'll judge it when I see it. Trailer does give some good inkling that there's some good action points, and you get comedy coming from both Hart and Black. Wow, that sounded weird. Hart and Black.
Hart Black.
but Jack Black, the black one and the Hart one. So yeah, some good scenes in there. I'm looking for a twist in it though. It's going to have to be smart in its execution because this trailer has given away a lot, as they do.
Not really. I mean, we get the basic premise. I mean, what is the end game of this trailer? I mean,
is that Bobby Cannavale there? It might be Bobby Cannavale. I'll check the casting.
can tell you. I mean, they've gone for a Hughes element in this, where they're all what's the word, in detention for whatever reason, and if that's not a John Hughes reference, I don't know what is. And then they put Jumanji in it, and that's all you know about it. They're avatars in this Jumanji world. You don't know what the actual goal is. They've given you enough to, I think, without giving out what the plot, because there's no actual MacGuffin in the film that drives the plot along. It's just them in that world. So whatever the story is, I haven't surmounted it from what we've seen in this trailer. So maybe because I kind of disinterested, but
well, there is a tease to them all having special abilities, and if you remember the first film, the original film, and Zathura, to get to win, you have to complete the game, or to survive,
right,
you have to complete the game. So there'll be some interesting CG in it. I hope it's up to modern standards. I know Satch will spot it if it isn't. So we were joking earlier on about the irony of The Rock being in another film called Welcome to the Jungle, which was the British name for The Rundown. So I'd love to see if there's an in-joke inside that as well. But yeah, I think we'll see this one.
I've not seen Jumanji. Never seen the original. When it came out, I had a choice out of two films. That or From Dusk Till Dawn. I chose the latter, which is one of my favourite movies ever made. As for Jumanji, I heard it, it came out at a time when I was a teenager and stuff, so it seemed a bit too kiddie for me, so I just never really watched it, never visited Jumanji. Wrote it off as just some dumb kids film, and I couldn't give a fuck. I posted up a comment when I heard that they were making it as movie news and stuff, and I also stated like, oh well, they're scraping the barrel. Since then I had a barrage of people yell and scream at me going, they're remaking a classic, this is forbidden, how can you not like Jumanji, have you not seen Jumanji? I never knew Jumanji was on the same realm as stuff like Jaws and stuff, but it's obviously really beloved by those people that did grow up on it, and that's cool. That's cool that they went out and made a Robin Williams for you guys. This is just one of those films I just never got into as a kid. Well, I wasn't even a kid when it came out. I just never got into it. Passed me by. But you know what? Credit where credit's due. This I felt was a good trailer. It did intrigue me with the video game aspect, although at the same time that made me go, because that's too Tron, and I'm a huge Tron fan. But I mean, like, it could work, like you said, for those points that it's updating it for a 21st century twist, etc. And the fact that it is a sequel to the originals, that mean, people that love that original film, they can't really piss and moan, and if they don't really want to watch this, well, they don't have to watch this. It's fine. It's fine. I mean, like, you know what? If anything, this has gotten me interested in revisiting that. Well, visiting, and the first film for the first time, and I'll finally get to see what all you guys find so majestic and amazing about it. Sure, Robin Williams is probably the main reason why I should watch it, because I do love Robin Williams, but I kind of put it there with the same like paint as Flubber. Like, that's cool. Robin Williams is in a kid movie. I don't care. You know what I mean? But you know what? I'm intrigued. I'll check out Jumanji before this Jumanji 2 comes out. When I watch it, I'll tell you what I think about Jumanji, and then you guys can, kill me again on Facebook and Twitter.
I just want to say, and I agree with you on that, and I should have said it before. If one thing I do hope happens is that people go back and watch the original Jumanji.
Yeah.
Robin Williams was a comic genius and a legend. Funny enough, though, those films you mentioned, Flubber, they're not his funniest films.
Yeah.
The film's very slapstick, and I remember it being quite groundbreaking in its special effects.
Yeah, for its day.
For its day, and it was all actually a lot of credit goes to to Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst,
yeah,
she's in
the movies,
okay.
and it was a lot of slapstick in it. A lot of things bad things would happen to the local cop, and it was a really fun film.
Yeah,
I can understand why you chose Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, okay.
18 versus a PG, but good luck to them with this one. I think movies like this can be a lot of fun. and as long as they're respectful, then it should be. I should think it should do well.
All right. Okay. So on to the next trailer, and that is Bad Moms. Again, I have very little to say about this trailer. I didn't see the first Bad Moms film. This to me is, I don't know how well the last Bad Moms film did, but it was clearly, it did well enough to warrant a sequel, Christmas-based sequel, which makes no sense to me. This is probably one of the worst trailers I've seen this year. I really don't have much more to say about it.
Well, I'm just trying to bring up some figures to see if I can see how it performed.
Mojo.
Budget 20 million. Opening weekend it made 23 million in the US. Gross in the US is 113 million. So it definitely made its money back and then some.
What did it do worldwide?
Worldwide, I don't get that in this listing. So Sacha, if you've got another source. These are the kind of movies that are a good vehicle for some of these actresses.
All these actresses are famous already, though.
Yeah, but I think when some of them move off of one project, if they can't dive into another one, then they'll probably take the paycheck. I mean, Mila Kunis, other than voice work in Family Guy, and still probably trying to erase whatever Jupiter Ascending was from everyone's brains. I can see why she'd sign for this, and the same for Kristen Bell. Kristen Bell used to be in House of Lies, and I'm not sure what she's doing right now.
Movies.
Probably going from movie to movie to movie. There are a couple out there actually. She did Chips, which was this year or last year?
It was this year.
So I mean, there is a need for movies like this, because Hollywood kind of put itself in a place where they made a lot of male gross out movies. And they then felt they've had to respond with female gross out. So of course you got The Hangover, and they've tried to respond with that with films like Bridesmaids, and you obviously had the Ghostbusters movie, which went the wrong way, and they had so much potential with the cast, but they went the wrong way with it. So I can see when there's a desire to this. A girls' night out, they'll go and see it. I mean, with a budget of 20 million, if it's making over 100 million, you can bet there's going to be a sequel. And there'll probably be a sequel to this if this does the same thing. Has to be smart though. If it's more of the same, if it's more of the same, they will not come back for a third. They need to be able to say. I mean, that's why I think it's interesting that in the trailer you can see the mums have cast more mums, and one of them is Christine Baranski, who I'm a huge fan of.
Until I saw her in it, I thought, oh, okay, I've got a reason to watch this now.
Huge fan. Used to watch her in The Good Wife.
Yeah.
She's now the lead in a new spin-off show called The Good Fight.
Yeah, that's really good.
Which is amazing. I've just found out got commissioned for a second series.
Yeah.
And she also pops up from time to time in Big Bang Theory, playing Leonard Hofstadter's mum.
Yeah, she's good as that as well.
She's got brilliant dry wit.
She used to be in Sybil.
Yes. And great comic timing. Years ago, she was in a film called The Guru. Do you remember that? Back in old Village days.
Wow. I tried to forget that.
God awful movie.
Yeah.
But so is Mike Myers.
So is Mike Myers. That film was so bad. Mike Myers refused to act again.
Not that Guru. Not that Guru. The other one. There's one with the guy from EastEnders. No, and I hope I haven't named the wrong movie wrong.
Because the only other Guru film I know is.
Can we do singing on this trailer?
Yeah.
Jolly, humble they say, we used to have that in the trailer, in the cinema, playing in the foyer, all summer of the year it came out.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
I remember the trailers that we used to have on, and it's kind of stuck in my head as to what order it was in, but I don't remember that.
I'm gonna find this movie. Sach, you dive in, and I'll.
Well, it's being written by John Lucas and Scott Moore. They're the writing partners of the Hangover trilogy and The Change Up. They wrote and directed this first one and 21 and Over. As directors, I think they suck, but as writers, they've written a lot of good hits that probably their writing has been improvised, and obviously you got the mastermind of comedy, Todd Phillips, helping co-write The Hangover as well. So, this is them going out on the limb by themselves with these two films. I never saw the first Bad Moms. It just didn't appeal to me. I didn't hear good things from, my peers that went and saw it. This trailer is dry. Don't get me wrong, the bit where she's explaining
that's not funny.
That, you know what? I saw where they were going with it, and I think it could have been funny if it was executed differently. I just think the way it was executed in this trailer, it just didn't land. You know what I mean? Mainly because the trailer is shit. Now, I think it's a case of the trailer not doing the movie justice. You know what I mean? I've noticed something. They always put like some big soundtrack on all of these comedy stuff where they don't really show you what the movie actually is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I think we're getting with this trailer. I think maybe it might be a funny movie, but because, you know, for them to do a sequel, obviously there was an audience to go see the first one. I never saw the first one. But they obviously have faith in this IP to try and do another one. These directors obviously like the characters to be able to go, hey, we're directing the next one as our next film. So, you know, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but if I'm judging a movie solely on this trailer, looks like bullshit to me, but, you know, hey.
Yeah.
I remember that Guru.
So it's this Guru, weird enough.
Oh, I never saw that film.
I never saw it, but I recognise
Marissa Tomei's in that.
Marissa Tomei, Heather Graham is in it. And I remember it in.
I remember the trailers.
The trailer used to have a scene from the film where they're all dancing, reenacted a Bollywood scene.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Mystery was the lead in it. He had been in, I think, EastEnders or Coronation Street, something like that. And this was his big break.
West is West, or East is what?
Yeah, he did East and West with the.
I can't remember what I think that this similar to the film title. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but,
I know what you're talking about.
That movie he was meant to be some sort of sex guru, and he was an overnight success in America. The film bombed. It was. I remember laughing my head off watching it.
Yeah, well, I mean, this film isn't.
I think its budget was 11 million and it made 1.5.
Oof, that's horrible. Yeah, well, that's Bad Moms. If you guys want to go see it, be my guest. But
I can think of lots of girls' night out movie, and that's what will happen.
Sure. But again, the Christmas theme really. I don't understand. I don't get it.
What's the release date?
I don't know what it is in America over here, but I guess in America it's around Christmas, maybe November or December. I'm guessing December. It doesn't have but no, there's no release date. H Brothers. I'm guessing they're Oriental because there's there. Anyway, on to the next trailer, and this is The Greatest Showman on Earth. Okay, so I've got a little to say on this one, and this is Wolverine playing the Greatest Showman on Earth, and Hugh Jackman is this guy that's clearly. I'm guessing this is around just before the turn of the Industrial Revolution, because this is it looks bleak. It's definitely in the 1800s. This is set in. Anyways, it looks like he creates. He creates the what we call the circus now, or I wouldn't know how to sum out to it, but he starts. He has an idea. He gets together this ragtag bunch of people that have these special, or I say special abilities, not like the X-Men, but special abilities in terms of acrobatics, singing, dancing, what have you, and he creates a show out of it, and it looks like this was the beginnings of, again, what we would call the modern day circus. I could be wrong about that, but that's what it looks like to me. This is something that Hugh Jackman has always wanted to do. He wanted to sing, he wanted to dance, he wanted to do this type of film. In regards to his background, his acting background, he's a
stage actor.
That's right. Yeah.
Before he started to be in the big Hollywood movies, he's a fairly good singer and very good dancer.
Yeah. Oh, Rebecca Ferguson. Yeah, I forgot my highlight of this was Rebecca Ferguson. I really, ever since I saw her in Mission Impossible, I had a really big crush on her. She's just a different kind of woman. But anyway, yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. This looks amazing. This looks exactly what Hugh Jackman was born to do. And I hand over to you guys. What do you think?
I think it would be a lot of fun. I think I like the history behind it, because I wasn't 100% certain at first, but it's based on a true story and the actual founding of a circus.
Yes, I was right. The trailer did this job very well.
Yeah, but I read this afternoon, and I just double checking it, that the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bates Circus, which was the circus founded by P.T. Barnum, sadly announced they were closing their doors this year, so they have their last show in May this year.
Wow.
So the sad irony is they make this movie, the movie's going to get released, and the circus is no longer around to kind of maybe capitalise on the history. Maybe they could have done a tribute or something. I mean, time will tell. Maybe we'll be able to come back. I think it's a great chance for a couple of actors in this to kind of like show their acting chops and performing chops. Zac Efron's trying to do the double or triple bill in 2017 and, you know, do a couple of movies. Michelle Williams has all been really talented.
It's kind of like Efron going back to his High School Musical roots, you know?
Yeah, and I think
he's always been a powerhouse talent. He's just never broke out like properly yet, you know? But yeah, it's an interesting look at this one. I mean, stories by, what's his name? I can't remember now. My name's gone. No, Bill Condon, the guy that wrote and directed Dreamgirls and Chicago. He also did Beauty and the Beast as well as a director, but he didn't direct this one. He just wrote it and produced it. The director is Michael Gracie. This is his first movie as a director. He's mainly a visual effects artist. He's also the guy that's up for the Naruto movie, if you know that ever gets made or what.
After Ghost in the Shell, I don't think so.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's still kind of there on his IMDb, but be interesting because you know he's a first time director. It'll be interesting to see what he pulls out the bag for this one. Bill Condon, obviously renowned for musical kind of films in the past before, so obviously taking him under his wing and saw something in him to give him his screenplay to go, look, I trust you with directing this. Or maybe this guy's been sought out by the producers and stuff, you know, because, you know, Condon was like directing Beauty and the Beast for the past 3 years, so he probably didn't have time to like even be involved in this production. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure this would have been another one to his kind of collection of like, you know, musicals and stuff. What was I going to say? But yeah, Hugh Jackman, this is where his Wolverine money's going into, you know, this is his kind of forte, 100%. You've got Zac Efron doing what he's renowned for in the beginning of his career. You've got really good talent here. Yeah, should be good for what it is. I'm not gonna lie though, the trailer didn't interest me and I need to want to see it, but like you said, it did do its job in terms of what the tone is, what it's about, etc. For me, Hugh Jackman and Zac Efron are two very big pulls for me in general to give it a look in. So for me, it's just kind of like, what are the reviews like, and then based on that, I'll probably go see it. But
as much as I think Zac Efron is quite talented, I still think he's got a lot to prove. Agreed. In the same way that, do you know when who's the guy in Inception?
Cillian Murphy?
No, main actor.
Tom Hardy?
No, main actor.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes. When he was coming up, I didn't really believe.
Yeah.
When he did Gangs in New York, I thought, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then he did a few films, and then when I saw Inception, I said, yes, that's you're here.
Yeah.
You're here. I
already was with DiCaprio before that, before Inception. But I mean, look, Zaffron has acting chops. If you look past High School,
Zaffron, that's good, man. I like that.
If you went after High School Uniform.
High School Musical.
Yeah, that one. He went and did an Orson Welles film.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was fantastic in that. He was phenomenal doing that. It showed that he could go, you know, pull great performances out the bag. And to be quite honest, that movie's a really good gem and an ace of spades in this thing. He also went and did a few other movies after that doing the same kind of thing, you know, trying to show that he can be taken seriously as a serious actor. The only problem is all those films bombed because they weren't him singing and dancing. Now I think he has done the right thing going into comedies and stuff to try and bring in a new set of, you know, a new audience to him, if that makes sense. And you know, Bad Neighbours was a really good movie. The first one. Second one, not so much. But the first one was really good. Baywatch, though, not really doing anyone any credit there. But I could see why he probably went to do it. You know what I mean? We Are Your Friends, which was his own personal passion project. Yeah, that was a bad move. That was a bad move. You know. But, you know, that was his passion project because I think he wanted to be a radio DJ if he wasn't an actor, and that was basically what that film was about. But, hey, you know what? He's still a young guy, and be quite honest, this is going to show him back firing on all cylinders. I'm pretty sure he'll do well. We'll just see what else is next. He just has to nail that Oscar-worthy role that's going to put him on the map to go, shit, this is the talent. But, yeah.
Onto the topics now, and the first one we'll start off with is Top Gun 2, and Paramount has officially announced that summer 2019 is the release date for Tom Cruise's Top Gun 2, which will be directed by Joseph Kosinski. My view on this is that that's great. I don't like Joseph Kosinski. I think he's in the Joe Johnston camp of directors. I think he's very mediocre. He has a very nice look to his films, but he's mediocre. What do you guys think of this? The release date and Joe Kosinski directing.
Well, Joe Kosinski, look, I love Tron Legacy. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. That is the greatest Daft Punk music video I've seen in my life. But you know what? I liked Tron Legacy. I'm pro Tron Legacy, and that's his first film. So to hit that one out the park, fine. Oblivion, yeah, that was a piece of shit. You know what I mean? That was a piece of shit film. Okay, but it had me interested until the last 20 minutes, which destroyed the whole movie. And he did write and direct that, I do believe. I'm not too sure, but I think he did.
Oh, Oblivion?
Yeah. Did he write it, or did he just direct it?
I've got him down as director. He did write it.
He did write it. Okay,
he was one of the writers.
So, okay, like, at the moment, I don't think he's a shit director. I just think he's still, you know, we don't really know that much about him yet. Do you know what I mean? Now, here's the thing. Tom Cruise, he's in the Tom Cruise club. So, despite what I think about Oblivion, the actor quite obviously trusts him and thinks he's the guy for the job, because Tom Cruise wouldn't, you know what I mean, hire just anyone. If he was a bad director, if Tom Cruise did not think that this guy was up for directing Top Gun 2, you know what I mean, the guy would not have the job. Now, that's two shots at the bat. One was a hit, the other one wasn't. This is his third strike. So we'll have to see. I mean, Top Gun's an important IP, and I get your concerns with that.
I don't really care about Top Gun as the way other people do.
Oh, okay. Well,
I recognise it as a good Tony Scott film.
Man, I love that movie. Be quite honest, my personal choice, and everyone will hate me for this, but I'm going to say this: if you want Top Gun 2 without Tony Scott, yeah, I would have probably went to Ridley Scott. No, I haven't finished. He's not my first choice, but he would have been someone just because it's like his brother and stuff. But
He's got a very different directing
Yeah,
style.
I know, but it would have been interesting to see what he would have done with it, and it would have been cool if I heard that news. But my first number one choice for Top Gun 2, Michael Bay, hands down. Michael Bay, his relationship with the U.S. military, his whole thing with how he knows, how to direct action set pieces and stuff. He would have been the perfect guy. You know what I mean? A perfect guy. But he's in Transformers land, which isn't doing him any favors critically. But I think if that was his follow-up movie, I would have been interested, because it'd be like, thank fuck you would have left that bullshit franchise alone.
Transformers is struggling as well.
Oh man, yeah, good. It deserves to struggle.
This is going to make my response is going to take a completely different direction.
Go, man. Go.
Firstly, Oblivion. I think Oblivion's a very good movie.
Yeah?
I think that movie surprised me. I went into it thinking it was another Tom Cruise vehicle where he's going to dominate the screen and dominate every scene.
Well, he kind of did.
And
he kind of did.
But it had actually some very intriguing storylines in it. I like the twist in it. Many people have said they saw it coming.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, because I kind of, just and you can't see this on the podcast, but I just relax and just chill into the movie and just play dumb and don't concentrate too much in it, and let's see what's put in front of me. So I think he does good on that. The Ridley Scott thing, I agree with you and Joe. I think this directing styles are very, very different. So I wouldn't have Ridley on my list for this type of movie. I definitely wouldn't have Michael Bay on that movie, because that relationship I think he has with the movie, with the army. Michael Bay movie, you can go into a Michael Bay movie now and know it's a Michael Bay movie, because it's the same thing: explosions, military, product placement.
But the one thing I'll say about that Michael Bay comes from there were 4 directors back in the 80s and 90s that the Dom Simpson crew are synonymous with that look. That was Tony Scott. That's Michael Bay. That is
Simon West.
Simon West.
Simon West. I would throw him into that camp.
Big problem there.
Totally.
The fourth
Con Air is like one of my favourite movies of all time.
We've come a long way with those movies.
Yeah, we have.
And I think the problem with those movies are, the Transformers movie, regardless of how bad it is, I just think the general public need to move away from that formula. The US military is not the force it was before. It's still a great, powerful force. But this cheesy, patriotic...
Well, one, it's got nothing to do with Transformers.
Yeah. But they somehow shoehorned it in there, where these guys are going to come in and save stuff. Never mind the fact that mankind have made a stupid cock-up. But anyway, my main point, and this is how I was going to start, and this is how it finishes, I'm actually in a place where I don't think this movie needs to be made at all.
Oh, no, I don't think any movie needs to be made.
Oh, well, I think sometimes stories need to be told. But I think the story of Maverick is over. I don't think there's anything more to tell. Mm-hmm. He saved the world, or America, in a dogfight that still confounds a lot of people today. And then he decided he was going to become a flight instructor. His co-star is now, with the greatest of respect, a lesbian. So are they together? Aren't they? Probably not. The character's probably not gay. So he's going to be... He's not going to be flying, because... He's either going to be an instructor, or he's going to be...
No, he's flying.
Or if he's flying...
He's flying.
What is he doing flying at this age?
Well, this guy, he's doing his own thing. Look, one thing Tom Cruise did state before with this, he said he's only going to do Top Gun 2 if he flies a plane for real.
But is he in... that's the only thing that intrigues me. What would Maverick be doing?
Flying planes.
Because he can't be in the military. He can't be. And if he is in the military, he's not going to be flying. And so they are going to have to come up with a very interesting way to shoehorn this. He's probably going to be an instructor, and he's going to be teaching the new kids how to fly dogfights in a world of drones.
Yeah,
it's 2017. They're going to have to be very smart with this script and story.
I hear
very smart. Otherwise, it's going to just damage the legacy of a movie that was really cool in its day. My favourite Tony Scott movie.
Still very good now. I mean, Top Gun's one of those films I wish I could see on the big screen. Like, they did a 3D release a few years ago, and we didn't get it at our cinema, and I badly wanted to see it in 3D, man. See what they do with that conversion. But, What
I will do is, if I see Danger Zone as on the soundtrack for this movie, then I'll buy a ticket. But if Danger Zone isn't on there, I'm probably just going to let it go past me by. Now, he needs to concentrate on his other sequels, like making the next Jack Reacher a much better movie.
I don't think that's his fault. I think that's the writers.
Well, that's the book. You know what I mean? It was based on...
They chose the wrong book.
They chose the wrong book.
16 books to choose from, and they skipped 13 of them and went to that one.
Yeah.
So...
just never go back, Tom. Never go back.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, Mission Impossible to me is his thing.
Yeah.
That's the one thing he's been consistent in. To be honest, I'll leaving 2 aside, he's been consistent with all of the Mission Impossible films, and I think that's definitely hit. I mean, he was supposed to hand it over to Jeremy Renner, and actually. I'm going to stay on, and I think I'm not a big Top Gun fan. I appreciate it, but I'm not the biggest Top Gun fan. But I'd be fascinated to see where they go with it. But Joe Kosinski, I never said he was a bad director. I just think he's mediocre. He's very he's got a very good visual flair for things. but he's no way he's not in the same league as Tony Scott and even Michael Bay. As bad as this Transformers film seems to be, I still think Michael Bay has an edge on Joseph Kosinski in terms of how to shoot things on screen and how to make things look bigger and bolder than most directors.
I think if he makes a couple, I will judge him on a couple more movies. I mean, one of the things that I didn't realise he did was he directed the trailer for Destiny, which is a fantastic video game, and I really enjoyed Tron Legacy.
Yeah,
and it was
I did too.
Very tough for that movie to step up against the history of the original Tron.
I don't hate Tron.
Yeah,
I don't hate Tron, but I thought its ending was kind of weak.
I won't disagree.
But the fact that they're in the real world now, that fascinates me. And so I really wish Disney didn't drop the ball of it and just wait and wait and wait. They should have just, okay, there's momentum now. Tron's in the zeitgeist. Let's get on to the next one.
Definitely, because I'm on the opposite page. I loved Tron Legacy. I loved the ending. The only thing I didn't love was like CG Jeff Bridges in some shots where he looked like a PS3 game, but especially towards the end, because towards the end it was like okay, come on, man.
Felt rushed.
Felt
rushed.
But like,
it wasn't rushed. It's just the technology wasn't. In
but
place
but
yet.
you know what though, I actually. That ending made me cry, man. I'm not gonna lie. I was in tears, man. I was like, no, Jeff Bridges just died, man. The way he just grabs him, it was sick, man. But that's how, if they ever kill Luke Skywalker, I want Luke Skywalker to have a bad man death. I'm sorry. I'll cry. The way they did Tron Legacy, I thought it was a good film. I loved it.
It was good.
Like you said, I'm intrigued to see where they go next with that. But considering they're talking about a reboot with Jared Leto, that kind of disappoints me greatly because of the foundation they left in that last film. But anyway, back to Top Gun. I'm game. We'll see what they do.
Yeah,
hopefully.
let's see when the first trailer hits.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Exactly.
All right, okay, so on to the next topic, and this is a bit of this is a sad one. I say sad one for me. It's just tragic. Barry Norman was a British film critic. He did there's a BBC show called Film. Put the year behind it. It would be either Film 99, Film 2000, Film 2001, so on and so on. And he did that from the 70s to the 90s, I believe. And he had a very dry style, but it's a style that was very different to anyone that was doing reviews at the time. And he more or less, when I was getting into film, I would watch his reviews and figure if he didn't like it, then I probably wouldn't like it. And I was always a deep watcher of that show. And unfortunately, he's died. He died at 84. I think it was 84. And so it was someone that encouraged me into liking film the way I do now. And so it was a big one for me. I don't know if it affected you, any of you two, in the same way, but I used to watch his reviews all the time. Did you ever watch any of that?
I think the irony of when I discovered of his passing, it will always stay with me. I was with my kids at they do a drama class on a Saturday, and for charity, my wife and I got to take part and do a drama lesson just like they do. Bear in mind they're only 4 and 5, so it's quite a simple drama. And it popped up on my phone, and I just thought the irony. And here I am at a drama school with maybe future stars, acting out scenes, and they're acting chops, and one of the great British institutions of film has passed away. I would agree with you. I think if I didn't grow up with a great deal of money to go to the cinema.
Yeah, no, neither did I.
So you wanted to save your money. You'd maybe watch film and get a clip of a film and remember it and stuff like that. He was really good, and I think it stands as a testament that while I have great respect for Jonathan Ross and his handling when he took over the show years later, I don't think it was ever quite the same.
It's not the same now.
It's a bit of a wreck now. I don't think it works now at all. I don't think the people who host it now have the love of film that Barry Norman did. I learned that Jonathan Ross learned to love film more as time went by. I actually sat behind him during a screening of what did we go and see? That was
We saw many films with Jonathan Ross.
You saw a few. I think the one that stands out for me is when we went and saw
Thunderbirds.
Jesus Christ.
How
that was bad.
What they have to sit through. But no, true gentleman in the industry for a very, very long time, and utmost obviously it'd be sad passing, but it's it was wonderful to have him on the TV, and so thank you for all the great memories, Mr. Norman.
Yeah, my sentiments exactly. It's like it's a bit of a tragedy. He was one of those guys you thought would be going on for years. I thought it was like Christopher Lee, immortal at one point, but no. You know what? The biggest tragedy was when he stopped doing the film. You know what I mean? Because he had it consistently for decades. You know, he was the voice of cinema here in the UK.
Yeah.
You know, it was his show. I mean, Jonathan Ross, I disagree with you there with Jonathan Ross. Jonathan Ross actually had his own movie show on ITV.
Yeah, I remember
called
that.
The Movie Show. Yeah. And he did that for years.
I probably didn't watch it because I was watching Barry.
Yeah, exactly. But, when I heard Jonathan Ross was the successor, it just seemed like a good fit because he was so into film and he had his own thing before.
Yeah.
So, but that to me was kind of like a massive blow. But I do believe Gary Norman, he did go to Sky and did his own movie show, didn't he, over there? I don't know what it was called because I didn't have Sky at the time, and you know what I mean, like reviewing films and stuff became like very different.
Yeah, it started to change over in the 2000s.
And like, look, now we're talking about film on podcasts now. Podcasts changed the game. I wonder if Barry Norman ever did a podcast.
I don't know. I know his daughter was very involved in reviewing films. And,
oh, really? Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah, she started actually reviewing films, and there was another review on the BBC. There was a show called Talking Movies, and Barry Norman's daughter was on that.
Ah, okay, I see. But who's the girl and the guy that do film now?
Claudia Winkleman, I think, is one.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know,
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It comes on at 11 o'clock at night. Who the hell's going to watch that?
Exactly. I mean, like, it comes on really late at night, and they're just dry. Both of them are dry.
They haven't seen. I mean, look at what Jen Campion did with Movie Talk.
Yeah,
they discuss film in a very free manner. It's not. They almost talk about it like they're trying to emulate something that he did, but not well.
Yeah.
I watched a few episodes of it, so I'm not. Well, I can't.
And it just seems that
I don't actually see her listed for the 2017 version of it anymore. It looks
I don't know. She doesn't. It's Mariella Fostroff that does it now.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
That's because interestingly enough, it still suffers from the main reason why Barry Norman left, which is that the BBC wouldn't commit to a proper time slot for it. Got moved around all the time.
Yeah.
Which is why he moved to Sky B. What I think is really sad is that in a world where we've got access to IMDb, podcasts and stuff like that, there's plenty of love to go around. There's plenty of room. Give it a dedicated time slot. The movie industry is still a great thing, and stop using your top paid. You know, I mean, I think really the only reason Claudia Winkleman, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, the only reason I think she got the role is because she's on the BBC's top payment list, and they just didn't know where to put her.
Yeah.
And they decided to put her in the show and keep it going because, you know, eventually, if they move it around enough, they feel they don't have to spend money on it anymore, and that's a shame. That's a shame.
In saying that, there were two people I would have liked to have taken over that show. One is he's got a YouTube channel. His name's Oliver Harper, and he's really good at. He has that same thing that Barry Norman has, but he's up to date in the sense that he's his persona isn't from the 1970s. He's very modern, but he still has that presenting style.
It's really funny you should mention him. Before we left, I actually come across his podcast.
Oh, right, okay.
For the first time. You mentioned him before, ages ago.
Yeah, me and
Colin.
Not Colin.
Oh.
The guy who's here. What is wrong with my brain? Anyway, there's me and one other guy that always listens to him. I first caught notice of Oliver Harper last year when there was this retrospective that he did of a film. I thought, wow, this is. I think it was Terminator 2 that he did a retrospective of it. It's so detailed, so good. It's like, wow, this guy should. One, he's got the presenting chops, and as I even wrote to him, said, dude, you should be doing the film series on the BBC, and he walked up to me. That's very kind of you. And it's like, yeah, that guy needs to be doing that. He was born to be.
I see collaboration coming along.
I mean, what you call it? I watched this retrospective on Transformers. As in,
right, yeah.
As in, he was doing the whole 5 series, the whole 5 films, but he was mainly concentrated on that original one.
Yeah.
And what I loved about it was everything that I've always preached on this podcast about Michael Bay, about the making of that first one, what made it so great. He went into how Roberto Orsi and Alex Kurtzman were fans and collaborated together on that script first and trying to ship it around Hollywood, while Steve DeSanto was trying to get the rights to it, and then they met, and then magic happened, and then they got Spielberg, and then they got Bay. What I didn't know was Robert Zemeckis was the first choice to direct it.
That would have been awesome.
And he turned it down.
Oh man,
so we could have got a Zemeckis Transformers, and we probably would have had a completely different film that probably would. And it's not, Robert Zemeckis doesn't make shit films. I'm sorry, but yeah. And then Michael Bay turned it down 6 times before he.
There's some trivia I just wish you had never heard. That would have been. Damn it! I have to go through. I have to wake up tomorrow knowing that. Thank you, Sacha.
But in Bay's credit, though, and that's what this. You know what? They concentrate. They were talking about the practical, not the CGI, but the practical effects of Transformers.
He made real models of all the main Transformers.
You know what gets me though? You know the start that attack at the US base in Qatar. Yeah, there's this bit where. Is it Scorponok, the Transformer?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he transforms into robot form, and he goes to steal some battery or something. And you get the arm come, grab the thing, and twists like that, and lifts. That arm isn't CGI. That is actually a mechanical arm coming, twist, grab. And I was just like, shit, dude. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just the whole magnitude of how big that thing was, and you've got to applaud Bay, because Bay, as much as those films are hated, you know what I mean, there's a lot of practical effects that if under another director it would have been all CGI. You know what I mean? And I think that's what adds to his action and his camera shots on why they're so big and explosive and spectacular, because the mixture of the two. But we've gone off topic here completely.
Okay, well the last person that I was going to say is that Robert Kermode would be a perfect one to take over, but I think he's too, I wouldn't say negative, but he has a negative outlook on most films. He has a particular, he likes particular films, and but I always enjoy watching Robert Kermode review films, because okay, what's he going to say about this? Just to hear what he's going to say. Yeah. Because there's a whole list of films that he picks apart and hates on the BBC website.
And references them again and again and again. It's amazing directors don't come around and punch him in the face.
But I like the guy. He's awesome.
He is awesome.
He doesn't dance. He doesn't beat around the bush, man. He'll just go.
Well, since they seem to webcast his review quite a lot now.
You would have thought that they would
do that, but it could be that he's just felt he doesn't have to do it. It is probably, and I'd have to look into this, probably quite hard to host that show and still go out and do the actual reviews. I wonder to what extent.
I mean, it's sort of once a week.
Once a week, it's enough time to go out and see them. But if you're hosting Strictly and 2 other shows and then a web series as well, that's probably why Claudia has to host the show with someone else who probably goes out and sees the movies. I could be wrong. I will do my reading.
This is what I mean.
I will retract.
Why have her there? Have someone that
lives the movies, sees the movies, is known in the. Commode would be a great choice. And I think maybe he'd snuggle into the role. I think maybe he'd be a bit more light-hearted and remember that while, let's say, for example, you're reviewing Bad Moms Christmas, while he might think it's a little total turd, he'll still point out the good points for the people who will go and see it. Yeah, and that's what it's all about, and that's what Norman was good at.
Okay, so on to the next topic, and this is about Matt Reeves' Batman, and it looks that Matt Reeves wants to do. He's first of all, he's got a good relationship with Warner Brothers, and he wants to do like a film noir Batman, which it just I thought would have been obvious, but I could be wrong. I guess Warner Brothers wanted to go the action adventure route, but ever since the Dark Knight, I don't think you can really do that again. I mean, you can, but he's supposed to be a detective, and thus far,
that's why it's called Detective Comics. Eh?
This far, I haven't seen him do that once in any of the Batman films.
These are good comments. I mean, like, look, this film was a shambles, but they got a competent director. I've been waiting for him to say something. What I do say is in Warner Brothers' favour is the fact that they postponed it a year rather than by sticking by the original release date. So, 2019 is going to be the year of the Bat. We have, is it Suicide Squad 2, Batgirl, was there a Nightwing movie, and then the Batman? I think it's something like that. I could be wrong on that slate. Correct me if I'm wrong. But all I know is Year of the Bat is 2019 for the anniversary of Batman, the character, being created. I think it's the 90th, I think. I could be wrong. I'm not looking at notes. I'm just going off the top of my head. But, the fact they're taking a year out to reconfigure how to do this under Matt Reeves, and he's not a bad director. Planet of the Apes is freaking awesome. You know what I mean? This guy hasn't really made a bad film, and if he's doing a story that he believes in, and if he's doing the detective route, well, that's fine. That's also the Batman that I want to see. So I don't think Affleck's going to leave the cave now, because it looks like he's been a lot more positive now.
I do.
So I don't know. I
think it's one and done, and he's off.
I don't know. I think it will depend on his experience on this film. But I think, what's that? You know what? I'm going to be optimistic, and I haven't been in a very long time. Stuff's changing over at DC right now because they're very reactionary. Okay? They just need something to stick to the wall, and at that moment, like you said earlier, it's Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. So I don't know whether you said that earlier in the podcast or when we were talking.
I'm not sure. I think it was before.
But yeah. But like. Yeah, I'm digging this, and we'll see. Richard, what do you think?
Well, when you told me who he was, the only movie I did know about was Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I didn't realise he did Cloverfield.
Yeah, that's right.
And I didn't know that he did one or two TV shows. First of all, Christ, one of these shows was my breakout, show from a couple of years ago, and. Yeah, he did an episode of Miracles, Gideon's Crossing, so really quite excited now that I know that. And also the upcoming projects that I've just kind of seen listed here as well. So he's working on a heist thriller, a bank heist, 8 o'clock in the morning, Batman. I think Batman could be, it could be one of the most challenging films to ever kind of be at the helm of. You've got so many expectations with comic movies now. They are the thing, We as comic book fans, and I say this loosely because I'm not the biggest comic book fan. I learned most of my craft from the Sacha man here. You've got such a weight on your shoulders. You've got to respect it, bring it up to date, satisfy the studio, but not piss off the fans and not piss off the critics. The thing it's got going for it is that, and I quote Honest Trailers when I say this, the most scary part of the movie was the best part of the movie, which is Ben Affleck. He's the saving grace of Batman vs Superman. Whatever you think of that movie, any scene he's in is just bar one. It's just phenomenal. So I think this is a guy who is visually great. I think he's done a great job with the last Planet of the Apes movie. I think he'll probably do really well. I think it's possible to move away from Nolan. I think he moved away enough from Christopher Nolan in Batman vs Superman. I think this Batman is different. I think he is troubled, and I love this detective element that they brought in that they're going to bring into these next movies, because that's what I loved about the animated series. I loved the detective element of it all, and the fact that he would, solve things and do stuff, because he's meant to be the greatest detective. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be I think they'll get some pointers and they'll learn from their mistakes and learn from the success of Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be able to pass notes across and say, this is what the public like, this is what the fans like. Don't forget this Easter egg, don't forget that Easter egg. So, yeah.
I'd say in that I don't know what, when he's, this is going to hard to explain, but I don't think, no, let me go another way. Christopher Nolan's version of Batman was, I still think, the most definitive version. But the only thing I'd say that was wrong with those films is that you don't really see him fight very well, even though there were ninjas in the first one. And you don't see him do any detective work. I think what Ben Affleck nailed in his reinvention of Superman is the fighting. In Batman vs Superman, his detective work was pretty poor. If he's supposed to be a smart dude, and he got baked into thinking that this guy's gonna. The Batman that was described to me would have, okay, what's his weaknesses?
Yeah.
Okay, where does he go? Okay, who is this person has to settle in society? So who is he? That's what I thought. They would have gone that angle of it, but they said no. Martha. That's where they went with it.
And I think because of Lex Luthor, you're right.
Oh my God, I keep forgetting about him and people keep reminding me.
Because he found out the truth, it becomes... Yeah, it does embarrass
Lex Luthor's smarter than him in this film. How was that?
And I think they're going to have to buck up their ideas. What the animated series, and I've watched a couple of classics recently, particularly Justice League animated episodes, where they've got some brilliant episodes where there's a chain in a series that I think was on 4 years ago, where for a couple of episodes Batman left the Justice League because of a conflict, because the Justice League realised that he had a plan for all of them. He knew all of their weaknesses in case any of them turned rogue. Mm-hmm. And it fits brilliantly to move towards the Injustice storyline, because then all of a sudden they're like, holy crap, it's just as well that he had our weaknesses, because now we need to use them. Mm-hmm. They really have to be bringing Batman back to the comics and the animated series. I've always delivered in making this guy a very smart, intelligent man who wants to do well, and balancing that whole angst of, oh my God, my parents died, which which we joke about sometimes in terms of like, dear God, Bruce, get some counselling and get over it. But they can do a good job if they kind of balance it right and make him smarter. They have learned a lot from Batman versus Superman. They have learned a lot.
I would like to think that
they can't afford to this. So they're being very, I think it was very, very good that Ben Affleck stepped down, because I think everyone's kind of taking stock and thinking, we want to do this right. Do I really have the capacity to act in this film and direct it? Mm-hmm. Stay in shape, stay conditioned. Can you imagine if he was concentrating on a shot so much that when he's doing his own stunts, he breaks his leg and it affects? He's already had a back injury from one of the other movies. Mm. And with the greatest of respect to him, he is getting on a bit. So they have to do it right. And I think...
but Tom Cruise has literally thrown himself out of a plane.
Yeah, or hanging to the side of a building.
And he's 55.
Hanging to the side of a plane. So no, yeah, he's probably in great health. But if DC for me, I don't know if Sacha agrees on this, I think I've always said since the first DC movie came out, and then it became clear that we were going to start a journey like the MCU is, mm-hmm. They just seem fixated on catching up. They don't have to catch up.
Yeah,
in about 2 to 3 years' time, the MCU will have to potentially reset.
Yeah,
they've got 10 years to do these movies. Let's do them properly. Let's stop rushing them. Mm-hmm. It could have been Batman versus Superman, but it really was Batman versus Superman versus Lex Luthor versus critics versus Wonder Woman versus a JPEG. It just take your time. You got a new audience here. You've got the playground to yourself. Yes, there are going to be other MCU movies coming out as well. We're going to have a Black Panther. We're going to have a Captain Marvel. We've got the Mantis. movie as well, or as a character being introduced, and as their only fan, you've still got more Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series coming along.
That last series was friggin' brilliant.
Yeah,
it's up here now.
Whatever, you guys.
I'm not trying to convince you about anything.
They've had 1 week series, and yes, it's been obvious.
No,
given their restricted budget, I think they do incredibly well.
What they've done with the flame guy, I keep forgetting his name.
Ghost Rider.
That I really like what they've done with him, because it's almost. Have you ever seen Fist of the North Star?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's essentially like Kenshiro. Everyone just said, we're gonna try and fuck this guy. No, you're not. no, you're really not. And it's the way he takes them out. No, you're not. Flames.
And that was very clever, because I have become a much bigger fan of the MC universe because they've been smart. You have got the potential to bring in the TV shows, the Netflix series, and 2 to 3 different strings of the movie universe together to make one colossus finale of this long journey. Because it's how long since Iron Man's been out?
2007.
2007. So it's already 10 years, and we've still got another 3 to 4 years to go.
Yeah.
And they are just crushing at the moment. The potential, and that's what I think DC you have to respect.
I need to ask you something. Did you see the last episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right? Of this season.
Yeah.
Considering where that's gone now, do you think it will, because it's gone galactic, and so do you think this is their point of introducing that, because they know where the film timelines are going, so the fact that they're out there now, in the sense that I know they got arrested, something happened, and now they're in space. And so
that was a
lot. You saw Agent Coulson, looking out the window. Okay, time to work.
I think
what the hell happened?
I think they do need to throw a little bit more money in it and bring it back in line with the movies. The last time it was in line with the movie, Coulson's character got the helicarrier ready for the end of Ultron, so he's in that storyline's part of that. Fitzsimmons appear in the animated series for Spider-Man. So the character,
really?
So they brought them into the animated series of Spider-Man, and they were at the Triskelion.
Their characters are a lot better now. Now that they've figured them out, and now that they've more or less separated them. This is going to TV talk, but they've separated it. They've separated it enough from the films to exist in their own world. And what they did with that Matrix world, that was brilliant. I really like that.
They essentially just broke up the last season into 3 different seasons.
Yeah,
and managed to do some very smart.
That's the best way to go with it now.
And it was dark as well. I mean,
this is what I mean.
It was a post-Watershed show this season.
It's really raised the bar with the rates. One with the rates and the dialogue that they used, because the dialogue was horrible in the first 2 seasons. Like, oh my god, who's writing this show? No more flying cars, no more. It's more grounded, and I like. It's gone. I think away.
We've convinced Satch to probably start.
Oh no, Satch won't watch it. But I wanted to talk to it because the only person, my work colleagues watch it, but they haven't. They're not as far as I'm with it, so I don't know anyone that's got, apart from Cullen, that's got to the end of it. But I'm majorly impressed, because I gave up on the show. I thought, oh, Ghost Rider, okay, let's see where this goes. And I thought, oh, okay, cool. And then it got better and better and better. By the end, I'm absolutely convinced that this next season will bring it in line with. I've watched a few episodes of that Iron Fist show.
I'm the only person that I think has given that a chance. I know most people, including my colleague next to me, hate it.
I haven't seen it.
I'm not going to spoil it for you. Okay. That's where that's the way that show is what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. used to be in season 1 and 2. It's like what?
But I think they potentially could raise the bar for its second season and the Defenders. I think the point, coming back to the point we were making though.
Yeah, we'll talk about Batman.
Marvel are showing DC how it needs to be done. If you want the whole ball game, spread your wings. Take a few chances. Look at the TV franchises. Look at the animated series that are still playing at the moment. Come up with a bigger game plan, because it gets to a point where it gets a little bit silly that you might go into a shop and you're buying 2 different versions of the same toy. You're blind fashion.
Come on.
And that's
Toy
what that's the
companies
world.
love that.
I mean, when I was in the States, I went into a Disney store, and they had 2 different versions of Black Widow, and it just becomes a point where it's like, whoa, let's rein it in a little bit because it's getting a little confusing. But they need to take stock and they need to do that. I think he can do a dark noir movie, provided Gotham doesn't look ridiculous like it has done in movies past. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Best part of that movie could be the best movie on its own.
Okay, well, I'm going to move it on because we spent about 20 minutes talking about that. So, the next piece of news is that the James Bond cinematic universe. Are you guys ready for this? The Bond producers are reportedly considering a 007 universe. This is. When I read this, I thought, nah, this can't be serious. Oh, no, they're serious. Okay, fair enough. This is a bad idea. As far as I'm concerned, AV story should be a contained story with loose ties to a previous film or something that happened in a previous film. Not create a. I mean, I think they tried to do it with Jinx.
They were in talks to try and do that. The car was deliberately designed to have equipment should they be able to move it into another franchise. The problem with 007, the whole Bond franchises, is that to this day, I don't think society, I don't even think the studio, and I'm going to keep it brief because I know Sacha got something to say about this, but society doesn't know what they're watching. Yes, we're watching James Bond, but are we somehow watching the same James Bond that's been in all those movies? Are we watching a guy who is hired and then legally changes his name to James Bond? Or is every time that they do one of these movies a brand new thing and a reboot? I mean, from the point of Casino Royale, it really does feel like we have a brand new James Bond.
Yeah.
Most of the other movies, particularly after On Her Majesty's Secret Service, that was clearly the same James Bond. But then Roger Moore hints on it maybe being the same James Bond. Then Pierce Brosnan has a long history, hence why GoldenEye, for me, GoldenEye is brilliant because of that history. Because, you know, so doing spin-offs only creates the problem that if you change actors, you can't reference them. That person's not going to be able to do another movie again. It's probably going to be a one-off, and if they do try and bring it in again, they have to do it quickly. But no James Bond is ever in a hurry to make too many of these, because at the end of the day, they want to be an actor and they want to do another movie. And a franchise like Bond can curse. Some actors have gone on to do great things. I mean, all of them have, but one or two of them haven't. One or two of them are only known for that.
Oh, Lazenby.
And that's a shame. Because some of them
Hey, Lazenby was Jor-El at one point.
Lazenby was.
Superboy, the TV show.
Yeah, okay.
But Lazenby, I mean, you know, they're all great actors, but... So if I say Sean Connery, what do you think? What's the first movie that pops into your head?
James Bond.
Roger Moore.
The same.
For me, I guess James Bond, yeah.
Yeah, Timothy Dalton.
Yeah, James Bond.
Pierce Brosnan, for me, not
Mrs. Doubtfire.
I think GoldenEye, but I also think of his other movies, and he's been I think he's learned from the previous predecessors, and he's kind of gone into things. He's in a brilliant show at the moment I think it's called The Sun, being made by AMC. That's the 4th movie today I've heard about being cancelled.
TV show.
Damn, I seem to fall for the wrong ones. But I saw an episode and I loved it, and I really hoped it was going to get renewed. But at least that's not what you think of. He's done a good job of staying close to like that genre, but doing other. I mean, he did The Ghost with Ewan McGregor, and that was brilliant.
Yeah, that was good.
So, I mean, no to the spin-off, because I do not think enough people will go and see it, and I think the studio need to stop milking the cow that way. What they need to do is they need to probably. Let me start off with the really awkward debate. Should the next Bond be someone like Idris or somebody?
No, else? It's never going to be Idris.
It just feels like it's never going to happen anyway.
I don't think it should, to be honest. But in the sense, him being in that, if they bring a character for Idris to play in that universe, so to speak, I'm not against that. But Idris as Bond, or just making them change out, or having Bond be a woman or something, I think that's no. Just Bond is a legacy character. he should be as is. Don't. It's like changing Ray to a gorilla or something. I'm going down a rabbit hole here.
I think that there are certain characters that should stay as they are because it just becomes too confusing. What they do need to do is maybe develop more roles.
Yeah, of course. That's what I mean.
I've always enjoyed it when there's been another agent in a Bond movie. You know, 006. You know, took care of it. 006 was killed in action, but we got to see 006 and we got to see 008, and they need to do more of that because seriously, in 1 or 2 movies, it really does feel like the Secret Service has got one employee. I mean, even when they were attacked in one movie, Bond was the only one doing anything, other than a guy in front of a laptop. You know, he was the only one doing anything. So open up the universe within a movie. Mm-hmm. And let's keep this thread going with Spectre, and keep it going. Believe it or not, I've not seen Spectre. I've just been waiting for the right time to kind of sit down and fully immerse myself into it. But anyway, Satch, please tell me what you think.
It's not happening. This is a bullshit rumour. Basically, Variety and Hollywood Reporter didn't confirm this as a source. This all goes back to a guy on Twitter called Jeff Schneider that has his own movie website called The Tracking Rooms. Now, The Tracking Rooms isn't really renowned for exclusive scoops or whatnot. It's horseshit. Second of all, the Broccolis are very protective over James Bond. So an idea like this sounds like something a studio would try and pitch
like Sony.
Like Sony. Now, here's the thing. That's all good, Sony. You and your bunch of cinematic universes that you think. They don't own James Bond. Barbara Broccoli owns James Bond, along with her half-brother, again, I forget his name. No, is it Michael Wilson? I think it's Michael Wilson. But anyway, yeah, Michael Wilson and fucking Barbara Broccoli seriously, if they were dead, they'd turn in their graves. Hell, their father, Chubby Broccoli, he would turn in his grave. Okay, Albert R. Chubby Broccoli would be turning in his grave if he heard this news. He'd be like, "What the fuck is Barbara doing now?" He would resurrect himself and slap people.
I kind of wish you told it was a crap rumor before I'd gone on my tangent about Bonds.
But no. It's just a rumor that's gotten out of control. Everyone's
I would have agreed with you, but because I know Sony are I don't know if it's going to be I don't know if it's going to end up being Sony that producing these films, but that sounds like Amy Pascal going, "Hey, we should have a cinematic
because she loves this shit." I mean, like, Amy Pascal is the biggest fucking spin doctor ever. I'll bring her name back when we talk about Homecoming, but I mean, you know, they don't own Bond. Okay, the Broccolis own Bond. Now, I think it's really funny what's going on with Bond right now because, all right, brief backstory for Richard. Okay, Spectre. Okay, the name Spectre. You know why we never saw him in the old movies? We saw him up to a point, and then they kind of disappeared. Yeah. Spectre, the organisation. So basically, the movie Thunderball. Okay, when Ian Fleming was trying to make a James Bond movie, or sell the rights for a James Bond movie, before the Broccolis made James Bond, he collaborated with a Hollywood producer called James McElroy.
Ah, yes, I remember this story.
McElroy and him basically wrote a screenplay that became the novel Thunderball. But the movie never got made, they couldn't get financing, so there was no James Bond for 7-8 years. Until Chubby Broccoli went and created Dr. No with Harry Saltzman. Was a hit, went on to become the franchise we know today, but when they got to Thunderball, making that into a book, adapting that book, James McElroy got lawyers and was like, "I own that, that's my book, we wrote the screenplay, I own the term Spectre, I own Blofeld, you cannot, so they made him a producer on the movie, they let him have a bit of a say, and the thing is, he only owns that one idea, you know what I mean, and that secret organisation. So for years you might have heard a rumour that there was going to be a James Bond TV series in the 90s, okay, because James McElroy set up shop at Sony. There was a gap between License to Kill and GoldenEye for several years, okay, because he was suing MGM. He was suing MGM for money because he felt he owned a stake in James Bond, and at the same time he was going to do a James Bond movie called Warhead 2000 with Timothy Dalton, and Warhead 2000 was yet another Thunderball remake. Remember Never Say Never Again?
I'm waiting for you to get to that part.
No, I kind of skipped that, but yeah, that was another one. He went and made a separate film that isn't part of the James Bond chronological. Never Say Never Again.
I can't remember the point you were making.
But the point is, I was just bringing him up to scratch.
Oh, right, okay.
The point is, he died. He died. So those rights were at Sony. Now MGM, for over the past 20 years, they've kind of been fucked over, so they have to get joint funding by other companies. So that's why To Another Day was a Fox release, because Fox decided, well, it's a James Bond movie. Yeah, we want James Bond. We can make some money out of that. But they don't own the IP. The Broccolis do. So they just distribute the movie. So they make a piece of the pie. And after the Fox deal went down, they were like, we want to reboot it. We'll go. And Sony were like, we want in on this. And they offered the most money. But the thing was, they owned the Casino Royale movie as well, the old one. They had the rights for that. So the Broccolis went and used that opportunity to make Casino Royale and reboot the series over at Sony. But they had the rights for 3-4 pictures. And they stayed with Sony. They've gone past that. And the thing is, while McElroy was alive, they wanted to bring in a secret organisation that became Quantum kind of thing. But after Solis had been and gone, he died during the production of Skyfall, which meant the rights were at Sony, and then they were able to call it Spectre, and that was a celebration of we've got our shit together. But now the current thing going on with Bond is their contract with Sony is up. They're free to go to any studio they bloody well like, and Sony are like, no, we need franchises. Come back to us. We will do whatever you want.
It's franchise
because it's all about franchise paying the bill. And like Joe said, cinematic universes, I don't see them playing more with that. They'll be like, no, we'll do James Bond with you, but
or they'll just come up with a US spy movie franchise that they can start running with.
But yeah,
I think they leave as is. I'm looking forward to seeing Spectre. Before Zach just pause it for me. So
yeah.
I kept on waiting for him to say something. No. At the end, spoiler alert.
I'll move straight on then. I'm sure we'll be hearing more about Bond in the future. So keep your eye on the ground. Okay, next story is Michelle Rodriguez. She threatens to leave the franchise if the female characters don't have a bigger part in the movies. And there's been a big evolution in film in the sense that women are more central to things now, which it should have been a long time ago. I mean, we've had big female leads in film franchises like Alien, and I'm surprised that it's taken so long to figure out that if you get women to go to the cinema as well as often as the other demographic does, then you have a bigger piece of the pie, and it works, especially if the film's good. Michelle Rodriguez saying this. I'm not sure if that was the right thing to do.
I think I can understand why she said it.
Yeah.
And I especially can understand it given what happened with Fate of the Eight. I kind of thought I was going to see another, Fast and Furious movie. I enjoy the cars. I love them. Funny enough, the person that wanted to see the movie, the only person I could find who wanted to see the movie was a friend of mine who just happened to be a girl. Her boyfriend didn't want to see it, so we went to see the film together, and she liked it because of the cars, and she had a thing for one or two of the male characters inside there. That movie blew me away because, of course, the last movie, with the greatest respect to Paul Walker, I think gained a lot of curiosity because people thought, how are they going to close this movie given the sad and timely death of Paul Walker?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it actually was quite a good story and a good movie, and Statham added something to it. This movie was possibly the best one they've ever done, mainly because of the, spoiler alert, villain, which is Charlize Theron. And she crushes it in that movie. I mean, she is I mean, for movies 9, 10, and 11, as I hear that they're very strongly, studios very impressed. They're talking about doing it. She'll be back in the next one. Anyone that was a good villain has been coming back. Now, that movie has its flaws in that, yes, mortal enemies are now working beside one another and all seems to be forgotten.
Justice for Hans.
And as Satch quite rightly points out, justice for Han.
Is he like going to be in the next one or something?
No, he's dead.
Yeah, I know, but I was reading something online saying that, he might appear in the next one. So, how are they going to pull that off?
Shouldn't do that, although I do wish that actor would get a good gig, because I enjoyed him in those movies.
Yeah, he was good.
She was phenomenal in it. But I also then realised, firstly, I love Natalie Emmanuel.
Oh, is that the English chick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as Satch will tell you, I have a problem with people being cast in stuff just because they've been in Game of Thrones. I think some people in Game of Thrones are only good because their dialogue on their character and their script is good. I don't rate them always as actors. I think she's a beautiful, talented girl.
She used to be in Hollyoaks.
Yes, and that's why I used to like her and rate her. But she's never convinced me in these movies. And she doesn't stand out in this movie because of Charlize Theron. Michelle Rodriguez doesn't stand out. She stands out more because of Dom's betrayal. But it's not standing out. And somebody like her, Vin Diesel is an opportunity where he can walk and produce another movie. He's got 3 franchises going for him. He's got the Riddick franchise, he's got the Triple X franchise, and he's got the Fast and the Furious franchises. And he's a producer on one of those, maybe 2. I don't Satch might tell me. But so she needs to probably diversify. So this comment, if I was her manager, this is a comment I would have said, you need to just slip this in there and say something, because she is slipping into typecasting.
Yeah.
Because I'm struggling. Other than Lost. Oh, Doom. That's 2 movies I can think of her doing. She was in, not Doom, Resident Evil.
Michelle Rodriguez.
Yeah. So she was in that, and she needs to probably come from out of that and be in
Avatar?
more movies and
She was
stuff
in
like
Avatar.
that. Well, I kind of missed her. There were a lot of blue people in the way. But I can understand why she's made that comment. I think she needs to stay with the franchise, if for the fact that strong female not role models, because they're a thief in 1 or 2 of them, but strong female characters need to be in these movies. But I can understand why the comment's made. It's just probably an off-the-cuff remark to kind of like gauge interest, to kind of like say, hey, I'm still here, because she was probably she's not the main focus of that movie, because Theron did such a great performance, and I think she elevated the movie.
Yeah, I just think sometimes when you make comments like that, it can backlash real badly against you. But I mean, she made this comment a few days ago. It seems that it hasn't. It's created a debate. So I think that's, as you said, that's clearly what she wanted. Satch, what do you make of this?
Yeah, I think Richard and you kind of like covered all bases on this, really. I mean, she is very underused in these movies, especially of late. I mean, she's just there for eye candy to a degree. I mean,
well, with the greatest of respect,
look,
I don't think she is anymore, and that's the problem.
That's just it. She's just played damsel in distress at times, and she gets a bit of car action on, but her character's not really been the main focus as it was in previous installments of the series. This last one, I didn't think it was particularly that good. I thought it was more more of the same, really. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't blame her, to be fair, because Letty's an important character that died, that came back, and since she's been back, she ain't done jack and shit. You know what I mean? At least
the 6th one's her best movie.
Whichever one where she's trying to remember her past, that was probably why she agreed to come back, because she had a lot to do. But now, because she's not. You know what? Just make me Machete Kills again in space and give her a big part, because she had a huge part in those movies.
Well,
and I'm pretty sure the Rodriguez train would give her work. I know she's in Battle Angel Alita, so and that's the other thing. She's not an actress that's not getting roles because of her ethnicity, her allegiances to directors like James Cameron and like Robert Rodriguez. She's always going to have work. She doesn't need the Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious needs her, to be fair. And the fact that she's come out and said this, good. Speak to Vin Diesel. Get paid and get your role. Because to be quite honest, yeah, that film franchise needs to change things up again, which is what this franchise does every couple of movies, and I think they're self-aware of it. And yeah, I think she, you know what I mean, to be quite honest, yeah, she had something to say. She said it now. Hopefully she'll get more for looking in the later ones, and yeah, we'll have to see.
Okay, cool.
We'll have to see.
Okay.
I don't really think I had a lot to say about that. I just kind of ad-libbed towards the end, but it's true. She's got a lot of projects coming up, so yeah.
Okay, on to the next piece of news, and that is Avatar 2 may go glassless 3D. And this is something I've been saying as well. James Cameron has been waiting for things to innovate before he started shooting, so he could, if when the time was right, okay, we're going to show this. It's going to be 3D, and you're not going to need to wear any glasses for it. I've always thought that about 3D, that people would be more willing to go to see a 3D film if you didn't have to wear anything on your face. And if the colours were vibrant and not dulled with the glasses on your face. This, to me, is exactly where he was going. This is exactly what he wants to do, and this is why this film will probably make $4 billion. I'm going to put that onto you now, straight away.
Look, glassless 3D is the next step in the whole 3D game. Nintendo did it with their 3DS. You know, the only problem with that, you had to hold it at a certain angle and then it would work, but the minute you moved your head like this, like, the illusion is broken. But this has been something that has been rumoured and speculated over the past, like, I don't know, 7 years, easily 7 years, maybe even 8 years, that they were going to go glassless. You know, it'll be interesting to see how they perfect that. It'll be very interesting to see in the flesh, to be honest.
Yeah, that's something I would pay to see, especially if it works.
Yeah, I think,
and I know James Cameron wouldn't do that.
Well, he doesn't do things
by halves.
The Titanic restoration was quite a good restoration, considering that film was not filmed in 3D. I can't wait to see Terminator 2, but mainly because it's celebrating that fucking awesome movie on the big screen again, and I'm going to see that like at least 3 times in cinema, because that's how much I love Terminator 2. Fuck it. But he doesn't do things in half. He's all in. You know what I mean? And these comments, I think, is quite positive. I'm in.
Yeah, that's what put me over. So, this is actually this is going to be a thing now, and that's what will make me go to see. People were saying that, well, where should we go see it? Oh, this new spectacle that has the sequel to this film that made the 3D thing a spectacle in itself anyway. So let's do that. What do you think, Richard?
Well, never mind the fact that I can't understand the cast that are meant to be in it, some of which are either no longer alive or no longer meant to be on the planet. So that's very weird. The production's been pushed back to 2020, so it's going to be
No.
I've got a release date of the 11th of December 2020.
No, well, it starts for shooting this September. I mean, it was moving back and back every year, but everything's written in stone now. It's shooting, and he's probably going to film all of them back to back. So
that I have heard. But
everything will be finished. It's just that they'll be finessing every time a release comes out, because he plans to release this once every year. So even if the release date is 3 years from now, it's.
I mean, he's a great director with a wonderful attention to detail. My wife and I were not a fan when we came out of this film. Visually, it's one of the best movies ever made. Visually, the storyline, I wanted to joke, offended my people, because it kind of goes on this very weird tangent about the oppression of people, but it just decided to conveniently make them blue. But that's a discussion for another day. I think what's exciting, I'll say that I'm excited that someone as meticulous as Cameron taking his time to make this movie means that we're looking forward to a treat. He's looking at 48 to 60 frames per minute. in the shoe.
Second.
Second, sorry, in the shoe, to make it different. So if we walk into that movie without the need of 3D glasses, we're talking about one, a brilliant level of innovation, but two, more likely that some people are going to get motion sickness and seasick. So
I don't think so. I really don't. I reckon.
But joking aside, I think it would be great. Just the story. Just tell us a really, really good story.
I think where he was going is that just like it's like Captain Cook came over to the Americas, and then you had the Spanish invading a territory that wasn't theirs. It's the same. It's the same kind of thing, but he's telling it in his way. He's creating a universe. So I guess that takes time. So in the sense that technology will be pushed by what he's doing. He's pushing projector technology and the way we receive that visual medium. I think that's going to be the driving force behind getting people that were skeptical. Oh wow, this is. It's supposed to be a spectacle. If you're going to pay the amount for a ticket, there has to be spectacle on the screen. So it's.
The other thing is that's kind of like. That's one reason to go against it. My only problem with Avatar coming out as late as it's coming out is the buzz isn't there as it was.
Yeah, of course not. The marketing hasn't kicked in yet.
I know that, but I mean in general,
even with the marketing,
trust me, it will kick in.
They'll probably re-release the first movie.
Yeah, they have to. I mean, like they need to put it out in the public consciousness. I mean, it doesn't have the momentum. That it's like a Sin City 2 thing. Sin City was like a beloved movie kind of thing. It was a cult hit, big hit, #1 in the cinemas at the time. It wasn't like $1 billion blockbuster, but it did well for the audience that it did. Sin City 2, Dame to Kill, came out 8 years afterwards, maybe 10 years afterwards. No one saw that film.
And you have to convince people that there was a first movie.
Yeah, exactly. Because and that's the problem we have with Avatar. Now I do believe that this is James Cameron, and one thing I've noticed: don't underestimate James motherfucking Cameron.
Hey man, that film.
So
nothing's gonna beat that. $2.5 billion.
Yeah, I'll meet both of you guys halfway, because my big concern is what I said about Sin City: the IP being dormant for XYZ amount of years, and then having the same people in it again. That's my concern. But at the same time, here's the thing. I think it'll be a hit. I don't think it'll be $1 billion hit.
I do. Especially if the technology works, people are going to want to see that. That's what cinema was about from date dot. This image is moving, and we have to go see this because there was nothing. He's gone back to where it's very viral. If you see something that's coming at you or coming from around the corner or coming from the back of you, you want to experience that. Yeah, all right. It's like going to a fun fair ride or something, anything like that. You want to experience it. I think that's what that will be, because no one will ever have seen that, especially without glasses in 3D coming at you. That's a game changer. So if he gets it to work the way I think he will, it doesn't matter if I don't even think it matters if the film's mediocre. People are just gonna. Have you seen?
Well, I was gonna say that I even know critics that came out against the original movie and said it had a really crap storyline. However, you have to see it because it's visually amazing. Yeah. And I can't think of any other film that's done that, where people have kind of like gone to see what the fuss is about. In that regard, to see the visual spectacle, because it is amazing. I mean,
2.8 billion, man.
He's made some fantastic visual. I mean, there's some great documentaries after Titanic that are visually amazing. The attention to detail on the actual Titanic. I read a funny stat the other day. It cost more to make that replica ship than the actual building of the Titanic itself, and that's just amazing to me. So yeah, I think bring it on. And it's not like, I mean, if the storyline turned out to be bad, he's going to be berated for it, because it's not like he's not had enough time to write a decent script for it. Let's be honest. It's, talking the best part of a decade.
Yeah, well, I mean, I even then, I still don't think, I don't think that will faze him at all. He'll just keep going. He's not one of these guys that are fazed by much. So.
It's like, put it this way, regardless, that they've spent too much money in these 5 films as they are. They're filming them all back to back, so they got no choice but to release them anyway and recuperate what they've spent. So we're getting them whether we like them or not. It's not like they're doing it one at a time here, you know what I mean? So it's
It's going to be an interesting boomerang effect to go through the buzz of Avatar all over again, because like I said, they have to release the first movie again.
Well, again, we don't know what the story is about, so the story could be so vastly different from the first film. Like, oh wow, I want to go see that.
I'm interested to see how Sigourney Weaver comes back.
Well, she's not the only person.
She'll be a tree or something, won't she?
There'll be a couple of people in it who shouldn't, if this is a sequel, should not be in the next movie. So it'll be interesting to see, especially since I've heard them vehemently deny that it's a prequel. So let's see how it goes.
All right. Well, okay. Well, on to the next piece of news, and that's the Baby Driver star is cast as the young John F. Kennedy, and it's a biopic about before he was president. And it's almost like that. What's that? Oh my gosh! What's the name of the film?
Back to one.
No.
JFK.
No.
Jackie.
Give us a clue.
No. It's before he was president, not while he was president or when he died.
Oh, okay.
It was before when he was in the Navy, and this is a story that hasn't really been told. It's always been talked about, but it's never been a film, kind of like Jackie. But I'm actually fascinated to see what where this goes, in the sense that from what they were talking about on Movie Talk, and they were saying that it's going to be a biopic about his life, but it's not going to be. There's going to be some liberties that they're going to take with it, so they can drive their own narrative for it. So I'm fascinated to see where that goes, because he seemed like quite the naval hero with the story that they're going to tell with this. And that guy that in Baby Driver, the guy that's called Baby, trust me,
Ansel Elgort.
He looks exactly like
Kennedy did back then.
Yeah.
I think this is a great time for this movie, because we're growing up in a generation where their image of a president is
Donald Trump
at the moment, and Kennedy, despite all his vices and stuff that may or probably did go on with certain Hollywood people, was one of the greatest living presidents
that country's ever had.
He did a great amount of work for the civil rights movement. He was instrumental during trying to keep peace during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and there are probably a lot of kids growing up today without a clue about who this guy is, other than the fact that he's the name of an airport. So bring it on. I think Sach has convinced me that this is Baby Driver is one of the must-see movies of the
100% Rotten Tomatoes.
So we're gonna go and see that in the next couple of days. That's me and my bag of popcorn, and probably no one else. And I'm excited by it. War movies. Old war movies are in short supply at the moment. We've got Dunkirk, which I cannot wait for. But the war movies are moving forward now. There have been a lot recently that are Iraq, Afghanistan War, Gulf War, and every now and again we will get one going back to the First and Second World War and Vietnam. And there have been some great ones in the past. So this will be really fascinating. I think it's brilliant for him to get cast in this. I think it's called Mayday 109 or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Great to be cast in something that's offered the success of Baby Driver. And it would take a very interesting side of Kennedy that I got to admit I'd forgotten about. I forgot he served. Most presidents did serve up until Clinton in the military in some form or another. Some of them properly served. Some of them were enlisted. This is a guy who served and actually was during the war. So I think it's I'm bring it on. Sorry, Sach, dive in.
Yeah, go Sach.
No, I think you guys have really nailed it on the head right there. I mean, it's a good direction for him to play a historical figure. It's completely different to a lot of his roles, because a lot of his stuff has been novel adaptations. I know he was in the Divergent series and stuff, and he's having a lot of success with Baby Driver. It's actually a really good performance, and it's a really good movie. Doing something more reality based would do him good and see how good his acting chops would fare playing, a historical figure like that. So
yeah. Well, again, when there's more news about it, I guess we'll talk about it a bit more. But yeah, that's awesome. Okay, next story, and this is to do with Luc Besson's Valerian, and it was screened last week, I believe, and a film. This film isn't coming out till like the end of July, and it's already screened. So that one shows that the studio have faith in it, and it looks like it's doing critically well as well. Everyone that's come out of this film is saying that this is the best film that Luc Besson has done since The Fifth Element. In the sense.
Can they say that?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is what the Fifth Element is actually based on. In the sense, he wanted to do this back then, but didn't really have he didn't have a way of doing it, so he did The Fifth Element instead, which was apparently, according to him, was a simpler film. And there's a whole on Twitter. There's critics that are under embargo, but the embargo lifted like a few days ago, and they've just you've got to see this film, you've got to see this film, you've got to see this film. So, considering that the trailers haven't sold the film particularly well at all, because I knew it was Luc Besson, I was like, okay, he's put effort into this. You could see it, that even just by the colour palette of what he was doing with the film, he's put extreme effort into making this film. And I just hope they can translate that now into something that, because the one thing that will make this film bomb is that the marketing has been poor. And what is Valerian? There's not enough to. I mean, with The Fifth Element, you can make a good guess as to what that is already, and it had a good trailer. With this, Valerian doesn't. What does Valerian mean? Is it someone's name? Is it a plant? Is it a what is Valerian? And so I think in terms of marketing this film, they need to get all those positive reviews. They need to really bank that up. You've got to see this film. It's got to be the amount of money that they spent on it. That we need to see it now in the terms of the marketing. Sach?
Yeah, I don't think it's been marketed particularly well, to be quite honest. This needs to be on buses and all over the.
I mean, closer to its release because it comes out at the end of the month.
But I mean,
when it comes out,
the trailers have been kind of lukewarm. I think. I don't think they've really. And like, you can tell it's him, and you can tell it's by the same guy that did The Fifth Element straight away, just by the aesthetic and the look. But I just never thought any of the trailers were very good. Again, it being Luc Besson, that's the only thing why I want to go check it out, because he doesn't generally make rubbish movies. I wasn't the biggest fan of Lucy, but that's just myself. I know a lot more people that are a lot more smarter than me are really loved it, but it didn't really sit well with me. But I'm not going to judge him on the one thing that I personally didn't like. I'm judging him by Leon, by Fifth Element.
You find that as well.
Hell, I like Joan of Arc, man, and that's when he was married to Mila Jovovich. So yeah.
I'm just reminding myself. I mean, we're talking about the guy that made La Femme Nikita, Leon, Fifth Element, and then there was a series of movies and collaborations with music artists like Madonna and Madonna again. And it's like, what the hell were you thinking? And then I forgot, I watched a movie of his last year called The Family with Robert De Niro. Which is a really good movie. I'm with Sacha on Lucy though. Lucy was... it actually wasn't very good at all. It wasn't...
I actually like that.
Poor. I think they just got a lot of that movie very wrong. I just think the story was there, but the way they told it didn't work, and it got to a point where even I was thinking, does Scarlett Johansson have to be in this movie? And I don't really
blame Besson for that, because he didn't really want to direct it. It was supposed to be someone else, and then Scarlett Johansson would only sign on if he directed it,
and
the kind of thing. And it was that was really why he ended up directing it, because Scarlett Johansson was kind of like, I'm not really interested in doing this, but I'll do it if Luc Besson does it, and then like, you know what I mean?
I'm really excited by it because I loved the trailer. When I was watching the trailer, I didn't know what I was watching, but I started to look at scenes that reminded me of The Fifth Element. And that film was phenomenal. Big bugbear, and I will be the first one to hold my hands up and say I was wrong, is I'm not a Cara Delevingne fan. I think she gets cast in movies far too quickly. I think she was absolutely shocking in Suicide Squad.
Not her fault.
Well, probably not, but I still think she was shocking. And I'm gonna reserve judgment until I see her in something else. Because I'll be the first to hold my hand up and say, you know what, maybe she can actually act, because I've been wrong before, because sometimes someone like her gets cast in another movie and you're like, oh, that's why, because somebody must be seeing something in an audition to get her cast.
Yeah.
But because my thing with models sometimes being in these movies is that they claim to be artists, but I'm not seeing their love of the art. And the trailer so far looked cool. I think maybe the studio might be a little nervous. They've got one or two leads that are a little untested, and they've also got a couple of people in it, a couple of situations where they might think, you know what, Luke's not had a hit in a while.
Yeah, Lucy.
Yeah, Lucy was a hit.
A hit performance-wise, but I don't think it was a critic. Critics loved that?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know why. I thought it got quite low scores.
I reckon that's the only reason this film's being made.
Right. But I think maybe they're just a little bit...
You're right, dude.
Yeah, I'm okay, man. What's that smell?
I'm gonna guess it's my sister, but let's not talk about that. Let's carry on.
Just for listeners to know, sister doesn't smell. She just has a smoking habit. Just to elaborate that, you know, that they're taking care of it.
Close the window.
Here's the thing. Sometimes movies like this just do really, really good press based off the people that go and watch it, and then it just blows people away. I don't remember Fifth Element having it had trailers and whatnot, but what made me see that movie was everybody turning up at that college the next day and telling me that I reminded them of Chris Tucker, but also telling me that the movie was great. So it could be a really good word of mouth movie. Movies like Leon is a great word of mouth movie as well. People talk about that movie all day long and how great it is. And it, you know, look at the people in it, Jean Reno, and I mean, look at how great Natalie Portman is now. So Luc Besson, clearly a spot of good talent. So maybe I'm wrong on the Cara Delevingne thing. So I think it's going to be great.
I mean,
I really do.
Just by going from what the critics are saying, it's something that I was crossing my fingers for. Come on, man, come on. This is your pet project. Don't screw this up. And it looks like he's got an A game. He's on his A game here. So
yeah,
Well, I guess we'll see. Man. But yeah. Okay, that's it for the stories, and we're on to the films opening this week in the UK. And there's one film that we are going to see, and that is Spider-Man: Homecoming. And this stars Tom Holland, Donald Glover, Jacob Bolton, Laura Harrier, Tony Rivera, I can't pronounce this guy's name. Marissa Tomei, Robert Downey Jr. and Michael Keaton. Sorry, and that's
for this part of the podcast. I've blocked my ears because
you don't want to know the cast.
No, but it doesn't matter because this movie is everywhere. Every time I watch something on TV and I Sky Plus it, there will be a trailer for this movie. I want to go into this movie and be completely surprised. I am so excited. I can't remember the last time. Probably the last time I was excited about a breakout movie like this was the first Iron Man. And then Avengers. But I think we knew a little bit to what to expect with Avengers because by that point 2 or 3 of them had done their first movies. So excited. We're going to go and see it next week in big style at the IMAX.
Yep.
Tom Holland, I've got a YouTube clip that I've got to watch where he shows how he got into shape for it, and people forget he was in the West End version of Billy Elliot.
Yeah.
He's a trained dancer. We've seen him do the somersaults and whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh, this movie is just going to be.
His father's always on the right stuff. In the mornings on Channel 5, and Matthew Wright was talking about. So your son's Spider-Man now, and he was, yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? Crazy work. I can't imagine what like for that dad to have his son just be shot into the stratosphere, and what is that like? That must be so weird. But anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This is the first. I would say the second Spider-Man film that I've looked forward to going and seeing. Yeah, this to me is what Peter Parker should have been about. Even in the Raimi era, I feel this is the kid that they've got in Tom Holland is what he embodies the character a little bit better than Maguire did, or what's the other dude? Garfield did. Garfield was too cool. Way too cool, man.
Yeah, he wasn't a nerd. He was just some fucking emo kid, man. Skater kid. I can do tricks on my skateboard. It's like Spider never had no skateboard. What? Huh? What?
But I was just thinking out today how many Spider-Mans I've seen on the screen. Actually, even in animation, I think I got to a total of about 8. There's a guy called Bell. Surname Bell, I can't remember from the animated series. He for me is my definition of Spider-Man, because they've done some strong storylines.
What animated series you talking about?
The most recent one, the one one that's linked to the Avengers animated series.
I'm not a
the
fan,
Ultimate version, and I like that because they did do a Sinister. One of the series was a Sinister 6 storyline, and they did a really good job with that, because that seemed to because it is linked to the animated series, and then the animated series of Avengers is linked to the movies. You get these brilliant storylines that are introduced into it, and characters that weren't there, and you get people, because there aren't any stupid rights issues, you get people like the Hulk along Spider-Man, you get Wolverine along Spider-Man, you get Cyclops. You have a brilliant moment where they have a crossover episode of Spider-Man in the Avengers episodes, and Spider-Man breaks the fourth wall, and Black Widow says, "Who are you talking to?" And it's brilliant. It's just full of got to a point where it was so well written that I started thinking to myself, how the hell did they not manage to put this in the last 3 Spider-Man movies? Good writing, comedy. It'll be interesting.
I'll tell you why. It's because of Sony.
Yeah, yeah. But they've actually had quite a lot of. They've actually had quite a few storylines out there, and the last 2 to 3 versions of Spider-Man that I'm familiar with, he does engage with the audience, and the trailer is quite telling to that, where he seems to be doing kind of like a webcam. So we're going to see how they do that in the movie. I think that's going to be very clever, because we know it's going to jump off from from Civil War, and that's going to be a big integral part to it. I almost made it throughout June without knowing that Robert Downey Jr. is in it. But everyone knows that.
How was that even possible?
It was not. I almost got away with it. But I heard his voice outside Screen 4 when we went to see Wonder Woman, which was the first thing, and then one of the posters at the cinema kind of like blares out there.
He's huge on the posters. So.
I mean, in movies like this, I just want to be hugely surprised. I like to go in, and I love it when cameos turn up. I mean, I was watching Thor: Dark World the other day. And no one obviously knew that Chris Evans pops up in it for a very short cameo. Yeah. But it's brilliant. It's a brilliant treat for the fans to have that, because one of the things that the early movies have suffered from before is, if you are one of the Avengers and your world has fallen to shit, the other Avengers really need to turn up and help you out. Iron Man 3 suffers from that. The Winter Soldier suffers from that badly. And they seem to be rectifying that going forward, because of course the last Captain America movie was last Captain America movie was more like an Avengers movie. But they clearly don't want to do that, because they want to make 3 and 4. So bring it on for this, bring it on for Ragnarok, because we know there's going to be collaboration in that as well. So excited about this. This will be the game changer. If they pull this off, there's no way Sony don't go forward hand in hand with Marvel. They do mad.
I don't know. They've done stupid things in the past.
And that's the thing. She's a nutcase. The interviews, oh my god. Like, obviously, they're doing a Venom movie and a Black Cat Silver Sable movie
Carnage is going to be in there,
that aren't connected to the Spider-Man universe. And then, obviously, there was a big thing on the internet. Everyone was like, fuck her. And then when Spider-Man Homecoming came out, everyone's talking to her in front of Kevin Feige about whether they're connected.
Oh, when he does that.
Yeah. And he's like, are they? No. And then later on, Kevin Feige's like, yeah, they're not connected to the MCU, but, you know, whatever. But those movies are being made regardless.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with them. But this is the thing. The deal that Marvel have on the character is only for this movie and the next one. So the deal is he's going to show up in Avengers, Infinity War 1 and 2, and the next Spider-Man movie. Now the thing is, if these movies make bank, well, if this Spider-Man movie makes bank, chances are there'll be more Spider-Man movies in the MCU.
I think they're going to set some records with this movie.
Now here's the thing. Here's the other thing. Feige recently said his plans for Spider-Man is that he sees this, if things go to pot, the passing of the torch between Tony Stark being the linchpin of the Marvel Universe to where it rightfully belongs. Okay? Because before Iron Man became an A-list character in the Marvel world, remember, before Iron Man, that movie, Tony Stark wasn't an A-list character. No. Spider-Man was the guy. Spider-Man was that character for Marvel. You know what I mean? Whenever you saw the Marvel logo, you had Spider-Man.
I'd say Spider-Man, and then in this order, Spider-Man, Hulk.
The Hulk was never there.
I think no. If you think Marvel, when I was a kid growing up, if you think Marvel, I would think Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man, Hulk.
I will give you X-Men. Because
I think
you know
X-Men
what?
more 90s for me.
The most popular Marvel IPs before the movies even hit were two things: Spider-Man and X-Men. They were their biggest treasure troves. That's why the movies got made the way they did. You know what I mean? Like, those were the first two IPs out the door to get made, you know? There was an X-Men movie and a Spider-Man movie. That was it. Now, the thing is, you know, hopefully this thing makes $1 billion at the box office. Hopefully it's a big fuck you to Sony. And hopefully we still have the Red Caller and they do what they want to do. Because Feige was saying, like, a few years back, that when they first got the rights for Homecoming, that the prodigal son was coming home, was that he saw Spider-Man as their version of Harry Potter. You know what I mean? In the fact that
every year school,
year at school, and you see him grow up, kind of thing. And you know what? I hope it happens. I really want it to happen.
Oh, Sony will find a way to screw that.
I was dubious about the Vulture. I hate the Vulture as a character, but they managed to take a shit character and make him fucking amazing. Okay? You haven't seen the trailers, that's all I'm going to say, but I know it's going to be good. I know it's going to be good.
Well, so if the reviews are out.
It's got to be better than the Amazing Spider. I mean, I actually sat
No, the reviews are out. It's been reviewed really well.
Yeah.
It's 98% of Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the studios are around to make money.
Yeah.
And they'll make money. So I understand why the Carnage character has been taken, because they don't want to give away the whole farm. They want to maximise profit. They've got the rights to the character, and they're going to do what they're going to do with it and try and make money. But we, as cinema goers, have to remind the studios from time to time that the fans want to see certain things. They can change it up a little bit for the modern world, but there are certain things that just go hand in hand together. So, you know, the Venom character and Carnage, those are instrumental to Spider-Man universe. I'm kind of hoping eventually they're going to see the light of day, because yes, they've screwed up before, but look where it's left them, with a load of resentment and a hack from a foreign power. So we need to, and, you know.
No, you know what? God bless the Koreans, because we wouldn't be getting Spider-Man Homecoming if it wasn't for them. So just saying.
That's very true, actually.
I mean, look.
Just to say, this podcast does not endorse nor support any form of foreign and domestic terrorism.
That's brilliant.
But yeah, no. We'll have to see, man. We'll have to see. The future looks bright for Spider-Man. hopefully it's sweet.
Awesome. Okay, well, on that note, the Spider-Man Homecoming comes out on the 5th, I believe. And so, go to your local multiplex and give it a watch. Maybe 2 watches, or 3, or 4, or 5. And that brings us to the end of the podcast. I'd like to thank our guests for listening, our listeners for listening. And I'd like to thank Richard for coming and participating in the podcast, bringing some knowledge.
Thanks for having me.
Do you have a website or anything that you're promoting at all?
I'm gonna have to set one up because this I forgot how much fun this was. So thank you guys.
Oh no, it's cool. And Sach,
you can find me on SachaMan3 on Twitter, and you can also check out my short films on Sacha Allari on YouTube.
You can find this podcast on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. And there's another thing that I just signed up to, which I'll have to investigate. But you can just put in Zedos Gang into the search bar, and you will find us. Leave a message, email, do whatever you want. That's it. Thank you for our guests again. Thank you for listeners listening. And this has been the Zedos Gang podcast, and we're out.